Okay. I consider myself a volunteer, although I volunteered because I didn't want to get drafted. I had had a deferment while I was in college. I also had a deferment for 2 years when I was in seminary here at Southwestern Seminary in Fort Worth. But in '63, I dropped out of the seminary, moved to Austin, enrolled in the University of Texas Law School, and dropped out before the first exam. Withdrew passing, so I could go back if I wanted to. I have no intention. But when I dropped out, I realized that at the age of 25, and the Vietnam situation going hot and heavy, I was subject to being drafted, and I didn't want to be drafted. So I went to the Army recruiter, and I told him, I wanted to join the Army, and I wanted to go to OCS. And he said, okay, we'll set you up with an interview with a panel of 3 officers. He did. I went before the panel. They interviewed me. 2 of the officers on the panel were graduates of Texas A&M. I don't know that had anything to do with it, but I was not accepted to Army OCS. And I said, well, okay, the Army's not the only game in town. I'll go talk to the Navy. So I went to the Navy recruiter, and they accepted me, and they said, the only problem is with your eyesight, you will be a Supply Corps officer. And I thought, I don't want to spend a career handing out towels. So I went back to the Army recruiter and I said, what else do you have? And he said, oh, you're a college graduate. Why don't you go to intelligence school or military intelligence? And I said, ooh, that sounds good. What is it? And he said, oh, I don't know. It's secret. I'll have to set you up an interview. I said, okay, do it. So I was living in Austin. I had to go to San Antonio for an interview with a special agent. And he told me about, you'd be wearing civilian clothes, you'd be living in an apartment, you'd be doing all these good things. And I thought, hey, that sounds good to me. It just so happened it was the day President Kennedy was shot, because on my way back as I was driving into Austin, I had the radio on in the car, and they indicated that President Kennedy had been shot. Well, I just went into orbit because I thought these news people are just making things up. Anyway, as it wound up, in February, I did other things, and finally in February, I went down to San Antonio and raised my hand and swore to defend the Constitution of the United States. And they said, okay, you're going into military intelligence, so you have to take the Army language aptitude test. I said, fine with me. I had had 2 years of Spanish in high school. I had minored in Greek in college. I'd studied Greek and Hebrew at seminary. Well, the Army language aptitude test is a dummy language. So I made an outstanding score. And so then, along with a busload of other troops, we got on the bus and headed for Fort Polk, Louisiana. And I tell people that my first day in the Army, I was AWOL, because not just me, the whole busload, but we missed a bus connection in Lake Charles, Louisiana, so we were late getting to Fort Polk. And I thought, they'd say, well, you guys have been up all day and you're tired, so, hit the rack and we'll do all this stuff in the morning. Well, they didn't. They said, okay, we got all this paperwork for you to fill out. And one of the things they said, oh, you're going into military intelligence. You have to take the Army language aptitude test. And I said, I just took it. And they said, It's not on your record. You have to take it. I said, give me the test. So I took it and I maxed it.